All right, I think this thing is rolling. Kind of pumped up, just giving myself on my little video journal here a little update on my Certified Cicerone preparations and studying. I have a lot of good updates to myself that I've done since my last recording. So I'm trying to keep myself accountable every week, try to track what I'm doing. But I have good progress in my book, Rainy Mosher's Tasting Beer. I've read the first three chapters. I'm going into the fourth chapter next. So far, it's covered a little bit about the history of beer, going back into like when beer started to be made, all about the evolution in Europe and all the traveling of the styles, a little bit about how to taste beer and the methods you could take to not just sip it, but trying to smell it and getting all the sensory input and stuff, which will take me some practice to perfect, and also how to describe the aroma and flavors. And so that's something I've been trying to take some notes and kind of be a little more methodical in how I would describe something, use maybe more common terms that are more consistent with how someone else might describe a beer. So it's kind of interesting and a little daunting. As far as actually tasting some beer, I've actually started down the trek of being a little more organized with trying beers specific to the BJCP styles. The 70 there in scope for the Certified Cicerone Level 2 exam. And my goal is to try at least one beer of the commercial examples that is in each of the 70 styles. So I've went down that route. I've already tried 10 so far. I'm actually on my 11th right here, which is my Rodenbach Grand Cru Red Ale. Flanders Red Ale. It's actually pretty good. It's my first time having that beer. Boop. But yeah, aside from trying the beers, another interesting beer I tried the other day, which is kind of making me realize as I study for the Cicerone, all the beer styles I never really made a point of trying. There was another one I loved. It's Schneider Weiss Aventinus. Weizenbach. You know what? I never had it until this weekend. The only reason I had it is because it was on my homework list, which I'll get into next. But yeah, so as far as tech and organizing, which is what I'm really using to help myself study as efficient as possible, I did a lot of prep on making my Excel file. A lot of time I spent over planning so I can study more efficiently as I go. And then after I got everything into Excel, I was like, you know what? I need something a little more readable, a little more portable. So I started using SharePoint, which is one of my favorite tools, Microsoft SharePoint. So I got Excel for sorting the data, but it's not too user friendly. And now SharePoint's for filtering and reading that data. And then that works really good on my iPhone. Yeah, so it's going good. So what I really want to do is kind of switch gears and just kind of show you guys a little bit. And also I can re-look at this as I progress. So basically, do a little walkthrough. I'm using Teams. Teams is just like a thing that wraps SharePoint and stuff, but I have channels that organize my content. General is really anything about beer for any Cicerone topic or BJCP in general. I had some stuff about the CBS exam, but really now I'm going into Certified Cicerone specifically. Initially, I was putting some screenshots and stuff here, but then I realized let me just put everything in files, which I did. So Teams is using SharePoint to store files, and I have a lot of stuff. So SharePoint, being the tool I'm using, has a lot of different sections here. A SharePoint site lets you put documents, useful links, commercial examples and styles I'll get to in a minute. But first I want to show you the Excel file. So how did I start organizing all this data? So as I started reading the BJCP guidelines, the syllabus, and tasting beer, I started making a lot of different sheets in Excel. So I got my tasting steps, just a reminder of what are the steps you take. I don't have to look at this now, but at first it was like, okay, what do I do? Then kind of a mental notes about, oh, okay, well, what do I have to mentally remember? Hey, when I'm tasting a beer, okay, try to describe the aromas, malt balance, hop balance, yeast characteristics and stuff. But then getting into the details of beer, I have a aroma tab. This is really right out of tasting beer. I'm just trying to take the high level and specific, kind of the verbiage, right, for how you're going to describe a beer's aroma. So there's some things here I'm still kind of beginning to go through, but I wanted to get it into my file in case I'm on the road and I want to pull it up. So that's kind of cool. The aroma spiral from Randy Mosher's Tasting Beer. SRM. So SRM is fun for me because now I have all the colors aligned with the color ranges. So, straw, yellow, gold, amber, copper, brown, black, right? And all the subshades. So I kind of have this thing where I can hold it up and say, okay, I said it was yellow. I said it was amber. Oh, okay. How does it align in the actual SRM colors? I just wanted to do that as a thing. It might be a little overthinking things. And then if I don't want to have all the shades, I just have like the high level averages of them all so I can kind of pull it up. It's something I found useful. Now here, getting into the meat and potatoes of this, all the BJCP styles, I've gotten into a master sheet here. The names, the alt beer, the category, the actual style name, all the attributes about it. It kind of is very detailed. SRM, IBU, ABV, gravity readings, and now even the flavors, mouthfeels, history, and even the commercial examples. I got this all into Excel for all of the styles. The reason I did that is because when I first started looking at the guidelines, I was like, hey, I'll just print the PDF and bring it with me. And you know what? As I started reading it, it's 100 pages. I'll bring up an example. I started realizing, when I pull up like a American wheat beer, I'm like, okay, I have all this text in here, but I was like, okay, I can read through the text, but then all the qualitative, quantitative stuff is all jumbled together. And I was like, oh, well, how do I know which beers are strong? And I got to like scroll through pages, and it's kind of hard to say, hey, if I have to memorize this stuff, this wasn't a format that would work for me. But Excel would really work for me because then you could filter and sort and all these things. So once I got all that data, I realized, well, some of it's readable. Like I'm going to sit down and read like a story, like the mouthfeel, history, examples, flavor, and stuff. But some of it's just like data, and you might want to sort and filter by it. Maybe say, hey, which beers are stronger, which beers are not. So I needed to split this up. So I made two different sheets based on this. So I got my reading sheet, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll just get the things that are textual here. And then I have a separate sheet called style specs where I really ramped into the data. I was like, all right, I got all that specs, all the numbers. That's cool. I could filter, sorter, do all this stuff. But then I was like, all right, I got high, low for everything. It was like so many columns. I was like, let me just average it out. So I got the SRM, the ABV, the gravities averaged out, which then I was reading online. I was like, oh, hey, let's get into this whole like bitter units, gravity units, and I'll get the BUGU rating in here too. And I was like, oh, cool, I can sort by that. But then people were like, well, you got to account for attenuation. And I was reading about that. I was like, why don't I put that in here too? So it kept going. I was like, before you know, I have all these columns. The RBR. Okay, was it the relative bitterness rating? I think. I was like, okay, that's a more perceptible rating where, okay, it might have a lot of IBUs, but the malt offsets it. So you really want to like kind of rank the beers by that too. So I got all the stuff in Excel and I was like, oh, that's great. But on the phone, it looks like crap. It doesn't load. And I was like, I'm not going to stare at Excel all the time. So that's going to get me into SharePoint. So what I kind of done. But before I switch gears, another tab I have here is my timeline. So as I read this tasting beer book and learn on the internet, notable things in the history of beer, I'm plugging them in here. So later I can go back and memorize the stuff and be a little more versed in talking about the history of beer. And it's actually not so much stuff I have so far, but there's some things. Reinheitsgebot, etc. But then also there's another one somewhere. Where was it? Right in 1906, where it really expanded into Germany, right? But all this stuff is important stuff to know. And then here's another fun thing. I went to Styles Master and I got all these commercial examples plugged in from the PDF. I was like, but this isn't usable. What am I going to do with this stuff? So I did a little Excel voodoo and I got a big list where every beer is its own record or row with the category and then the actual name itself, right? Um, I even have all the ones that are in scope 3 and 4, and then I filter to certified Cicerone. So then I was like, okay, cool, I have this. But again, Excel doesn't really work on the phone. So then I said, you know what? I'm going to take all this stuff and copy paste it into SharePoint. And the reason I did that is it's a lot more user friendly and portable. So in SharePoint, for example, I got my documents. That's just the same thing that I've already uploaded and that I could see in Teams, all those files. It's always handy if you want to upload it or open it on your phone. But then some cool stuff is, okay, I got my tasks. Tasks is useful because there's things along the way in my journey that I'm trying to do. Um, things I was doing early on. Pass the CBS server exam. Okay, that was very cool to do. And that's what motivated me to continue on this journey. So then after that, I was like, you know what? I realized there's a lot to track. Let me build the Excel file. So that was a task. Get all my books in order. Did that too. All right, well, that's just the preparation. Now we're in study mode. What do I have? Read the first book. To read Tasting Beer. Try some more beers and scopes that you haven't, in styles you haven't really tried, right? So I have that here too. Down the line, I have more tasks. Read other books, practice with flavors, maybe do some flashcards. Lots of stuff down the horizon, right? Useful links. Well, what's that? Useful links is anything I get that's a website that I really have to remember to go back to, whether it's a syllabus, whether it's someone's flashcards link, whether it's a course to someone's online training. kind of plugging it in here so I have an easy place to go back to that stuff. But here's what really matters. I got the commercial examples and then the style. So commercial examples is that same list from Excel. But the beautiful thing here is I can now filter and sort that stuff. So I can see all the stuff. What is it? 418 beers, right? And that's a lot of beer. But as I try them, I'm tagging them on my phone and putting in some notes. I'm only on the 12th one it shows. And then every time I have, let's say I have an IPA, Cigar City Dry, I'll tag every beer in that style and I'll filter by it. So I'll say, okay, I'm going to go back and try other IPAs, but since I've had one, I don't want to invest my time now trying other IPAs. I want to remember, I want to try one beer of every style. So I'm using this list to help me filter by that. And so the not yet count, all items, you'll see try, let's see, a lot of stuff's blank, but over time, basically, I'm filtering this stuff. Where is the not tried? Okay, to 363. I didn't try 40 something beers. I tried 12. But if I have an IPA, I'll tag all the other IPAs as styles been tried, so they don't show up in this list. So if I go out somewhere, I'm like, what's a beer in my sort of shorter list, right? And I'll try to find something there that I should try off the menu. So that's been helping me focus my time in trying new beers. But the styles one, this is really fun. So in the styles, basically, I have all that stuff from Excel. And again, it's a lot of stuff. So as you go, there's so many things. But I have different filtered views. So instead of seeing, okay, well, I'm going to scroll through this stuff, that's not that helpful. Hey, now I just realized, why is this stuff not loading here? I might have to hit the refresh button. Let's see. There we go. See, SharePoint is glitching. But basically, I can see just the specs I need for a certain view. So if I want, I'm going to print this out. So I'm like, hey, I want to see all the most bitter or most IBU intensive beers, and I have it sorted. Okay, here's a view for that. IBU low, high, but the average is really what I'm going to be looking at. Double IPA, not surprising that that's up there. And then you go to the bottom, you got your lambic. These are beers you're not even going to realize there's hops in them, right? They're more sour, they're more yeasty. So this view would help me realize that if there's something I forget. Okay, but let's actually go to a different view. So without having to filter Excel and do something, I can just say, let me look at SRM. All right, where's the darkest beers? All right, stouts, extra stouts, imperial stouts. I have all the SRM data here, and that's it. There's nothing else to cloud the view. And then at the bottom, the lightest beers, right? So I can have like an organized list that I can reference. I could print 4 or 5 pages out and have all this information really easy to get to. If I want to go to ABV, okay, show me what's stronger, right? So there's that. And again, it's very flexible. So that's kind of fun. So an example of that, how does this work when I'm on the road? So I use my iPhone and I bring up the SharePoint app, literally, and I have this SharePoint view. So what do I look at first? So I pull up SharePoint. I'm like, okay. And then I have all those lists handy. It's like almost like very mobile friendly, right? So I got my commercial examples, I got the beer styles, then I have my tasks and links if I need them. But really the examples and the styles are all I'm going to be using. So I bring up these lists. One of them, for example, I scroll up through the styles. I can scroll through them, pick one, and then just read about it. Oh, okay, cool. I could be anywhere. I could be on a bus. I could be sitting there. Yeah, I'm having a Flanders Red Ale. Let me pull the Flanders Red Ale, read about the history of it while I'm trying it. So this is something that I hope will come in handy to reinforce the knowledge while I'm tasting it and not have to be carrying around a binder full of papers or something like that. So that's pretty useful for me. But yeah, it's been a fun prep, and now I'm starting to go down the road of studying. And yeah, this thing is going to be very efficient now. So I can just sit back and enjoy beers and hopefully retain some knowledge while I go through this process. But yeah, so I'm also taking the time to play around with software because I love beer, but I love tech. Tech is what I do for my day job. I'm really involved in technology all the time. So I'm like, let me find a way to play with these like video software. So I'm trying this OBS thing. That's what this is. I'm a noob, so I have my video, I have the pictures in the background, and I'm playing with scenes. I don't really know my way around it that well, but I'm giving it a shot. And I figured, let me bake in some random stupid stuff here. Personal picture. So for example, look at my puppy Hudson. He's so cute. There he is, chewing on one of his toys. There's our couch, which is behind me now. And then here's another one that's cool. There's me and my son Blake. just being silly, taking a picture. And yeah, it was just an opportunity for me to play with OBS and put some scenes in here. But yeah, that's it. I think I was rambling a lot to cover my status update. Now I'm going to go back and have my Rodenbach Grand Cru, Flanders Red Ale, and maybe read a little bit of my tasting beer book. We'll see. So yeah, thanks for watching, and to myself, good job. See you next week.